Today I'm going to tell you how to buy swords like this one right here in Thailand. So today we're going to talk about the different places where you can get swords in Thailand, talking about the price differences and all the swords, what the differences between the handmade one, say a manufactured one is, locations where they make the swords, and also talk about like what is fake and what's real and all that stuff in terms of when you go to these markets out in Thailand. So do me a favor, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, as well as like this video. And if you have any more questions on other stuff, please leave a comment in the comment section. So first, let's talk about the manufactured swords. So the manufactured swords are the ones that look very much like the ones that you'll see them in movies. You'll see them at the markets like all the time. Like these are the ones that you get and you see, and you might want to use these for either practice or buy like a cheap sword souvenir for your loved ones or something like that. These are the ones that you might want to get. If you were to say buy a sword of that style in Bangkok, say at Jatujak Market, you might find these swords to be like from upwards of 1,000 baht. The only reason why I would buy a sword there is if you were going to visit Thailand once and you were probably never going to come back again and you wanted to buy a sword as like a souvenir saying like, hey, I bought this like cool weapon here. The real true place to actually get these kind of weapons is actually the city of Ayutthaya. Specifically, the area where I go is right next to Wat Sri Sampet. That's that famous like 3 pagoda temple that I actually did a few videos on earlier on. That's where you can get all sorts of weapons and all that stuff. This is a trident or samyam, all right, which I actually got at Ayutthaya Market, all right? Don't go to Jatujak if you can go to Ayutthaya. If you go to Ayutthaya, you'll find it's like way cheaper than most places. I ended up going to a different place to find these manufactured swords and see if you can buy them for cheap. We are going to an area called Nakhon Luan, which many of the people who buy their swords in Ayutthaya and sell them to tourists, they come here to buy their swords from. So we're coming here to see how much cheaper they are. It's a pretty cool place. I mean, it's very small. You're not going to see anything too impressive around there in terms of like, temples or like touristy things or food or anything like that. What's interesting about that location is that it's where they tend to make most of their knives and like touristy swords and all that stuff. That's also where I ended up going with my girlfriend to visit the place where they forge the swords by hand. It's still kind of cool to see them, look at the hammers, and this, one of the gentleman there was very cool. He let me look at his tools and his weapons and all that stuff. And it was an interesting place to go to. So if you want to see somebody actually forge swords while being able to buy like those swords from that location, you can do that there. However, those swords are still expensive as well. The difference there, I would say, is that while as the manufactured price is high in Bangkok and the price is probably similar to that location as well, those are at least made by hand and are usually pretty well crafted, and you at least get to see them make the swords too, and that's what's really fun about it. So it's an interesting location to check out. The next part, and this is the part where I think most swordsmen really want to get into. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated in terms of how to get the sword. While the other swords I was talking about, as soon as you visit a shop, that's where it's at. This next part is a little bit more difficult. So if you can look right here, this is a special type of dagger that was handmade for me and my Buddha Swan friends. This is handmade by one of the teachers in Buddha Swan school. If you want something on this level, where it is trying to mimic the style that you would see in a museum, you can go to Facebook groups and find an interesting thing about this. Be forewarned, this is where knowing Thai and being able to read Thai tends to help you out quite a bit. Alright, now not that that's 100% necessary, but it's definitely helpful. Another thing to understand is that they really want people who will take care of these weapons. So if you're going to invest in these kind of weapons, you are going to have to, wait. This knife itself took about several months after I ordered it from one of the teachers. But just remember, be polite. Understand that there might be a no, especially if you're just going to have it there, because they want people to respect their craft as much as being able to sell it. But they're also going to give you the full price for it as well. So there's no $30 handcrafted sword. Just to be clear about that. However, by handcrafted, they are handcrafted, and they are almost exactly like how you would find them in the museum. Well, anyway, that's the advice I have in terms of buying swords in Thailand. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, please subscribe and like to this channel, and I'll do more videos about weapons in the future. Alright, thank you very much. Sawasdee krab.